Hi everyone, in this video I want to talk about those times when we feel overwhelmed in life, with too much on your back, more than seems humanly possible, wondering where to even start, whether it's an impossible list of things to do or just no idea how to make a change in your life. On this channel we explore creating systems in our lives to perform better and achieve what matters most to each of us, but sometimes we just feel so far behind or lost that we're stuck. This can be frightening and soul-crushing. It can just paralyze you. For me, it has gone like this. I start by getting just overwhelmed by everything. Whatever it is, work, life, family, anything, or all of it together. And then sometimes I just feel impossibly behind on critical life objectives or in life in general. I just feel stuck. I feel like amazing things should be happening and they're not. I feel like crises are setting in and just getting heavier and heavier. The responsibility is building. My progress is not moving. And the friction between those two is getting bigger and bigger and growing to a level where it just feels like this crushing weight, and a weight that's just impossible to bear and progress with. And that's when I just feel stuck. Then a kind of panic sets in and negative self-talk picks up, pushing me further down and down in a feedback loop. I think a lot of you can probably relate to moments in life like this, and maybe some of you are even experiencing that now. This panic or intense anxiety that just seems to take over everything, your entire perspective. All you think about is this sense of dread, this weight, this burden, this pressure, and it keeps getting worse. So I want to look at what we do in these instances when we need a reset. We know that we need to fix it now, but what do we do? Anything that we do just seems like too trivial, too little. The good news is there is a solution, and it's always the same solution. This can fit into an immensely wide range of circumstances, because obviously I don't know your circumstance, and I've felt this in many different circumstances. And while that solution needs different particulars in different contexts, that there's one framework, one very simple approach that in my case has always gotten me out of that deep, deep rut. And that is to, one, have a process, and two, most importantly, trust the process. You have to put all of your faith into a very simple and manageable step-by-step process. You are not gauging the final results as you go. You're just gauging your commitment and effort to the process. So there's the immediate process, which is the most important one to get this kick started. And then after this, I'll tell you sort of the bigger process that you evolve to after you do the immediate process. The immediate process is, number one, get it all in front of you. This is what we do in the action zone in the PPV system that this channel has addressed elaborately in previous videos. If you're using PPV, great, do it there. If you use Notion, use Notion. If you use Evernote, if you use Google Docs or any word processor, just get a piece of paper, digital or physical. That's all you need. Get it all out in front of you. List all of the things that have to be achieved. They can be big long-term things. They can be short-term little things. Just get it down. You've got to get your mind around it. Part of the problem with overwhelm is there's more in your mind than you can grasp. It's beyond what like a computer's active memory can address. Your mind can be like a computer in that way. There's a finite amount of active memory that can be used. And if there's too much, if the challenge you're facing is beyond what you can keep in your active memory, you need to just get it down in a visual form. Everything that you feel must be done. If you don't know where to start, it doesn't matter. Just list things and then start grouping them. Long-term things, short-term things, and in-between things. What we're really trying to do is first and foremost, identify the most immediate short-term things. And then step two is we want to map out manageable days for the next 1, 2, 3 days. And then the rest of the week. And then next week. But start with today, tomorrow, and the next day. Map out manageable days, not impossible days. You cannot get everything done that you feel you need to get done. Let go of that. What can you get done in the first day, in the second day, and the third day ahead of you? Maybe even start with tomorrow if today just feels like too much. What can you do first? You need to do something that progresses, no matter how small, some step forward, any step forward. The key is to start taking steps forward. It doesn't matter what they are, and you have to let go of this sense of needing to do something big, because there's only so much you can do in one day. So keep it down to a single day focus. What is a little thing you can do that just moves forward? Doesn't matter how much. Usually in these circumstances, something does pop up. Well, this has to be done now. You want to identify that thing. If nothing screams like this is the thing that needs to be done today or tomorrow, then pick anything if it's not obviously clear what it is. Again, the mission is to start forward momentum, and that starts with a single step at any speed, except that it will be small at first. Then once you've done that, think of the next step, and then the next step. Over one day, look for a couple steps, a few steps. Then the second day, look for a few more steps, and the third day, a few more steps. You just need to start getting forward momentum. Speed doesn't matter. Size of progression doesn't matter. Momentum at any cost is the thing you need to jumpstart here. You've got this giant list of many, many things that you've done in your big, giant brain dump. And you've got a very short list of a few things you're doing tomorrow, the next day, and the one day after. And then just gradually build out the rest of the week, pulling from the giant list, scratching them off, putting them on the shorter term, day by day list, but keeping each day manageable. This is essential. You already feel overwhelmed. You don't need to create more overwhelm with an impossible day planned. You want to map out a day that's doable. If that means doing one thing that day, fine. If it means doing 3 things, fine. It's not going to be 6 or 7 things, not 6 or 7 big things anyway. One big thing and a few little things, or 2 medium things, or one thing. One thing a day is fine. It's forward progress, and that's the key. Map out a few days that are manageable, not impossible, not even reaches, just things you're confident you can get done in one day. Do that for the first few days, then do it for another 3 days. And that'll give you a week. You now have a week of days that are doable, and that is going to feel amazing. You will have 1 week and then ultimately a second week if that's clear. If not, 1 week's fine. At the end of the week, as you're approaching the second to last day in the week, you can start mapping out the next 3-4 days and just perpetually map those out. The sense of forward progress will change everything. And letting yourself off the hook for the huge mission and just be on the hook for executing each of those days, those manageable 2 or 3 things, 4 things, maybe 1 thing that's mapped out for each day. Just doing that will feel incredible. You will feel like a new person. You will feel like things are happening. You just have to let go of the overwhelming sense of radical change, of this thing that's so big you can't handle it, and just take tiny little incremental progressions. Map them out ahead of time so that it's clear what you're doing each morning. Map them out. Now, you can do this on a calendar. That's probably the best place to do it. Digital or paper, doesn't matter. Keep it simple. All right, so that is how you start. And the sense of having a plan for tomorrow and knowing what you're going to do and being content with it being small, no judgment, just progress itself will feel amazing and will change your whole outlook. That is going to reduce the weight on your back. It's going to reduce the anxiety. It's going to reduce the overwhelm because now you have a plan and it's simple. It's something you can understand and you feel like you're moving in the right direction. You'll still feel like you're not moving fast enough, but you're going to let go of that because you are moving. And prior to this, you were stuck. You're no longer stuck. That's the realization that you're going to have as you start moving in small increments and you let go of the sense of a radical, fast, big transition needed because you can't do that in a day or a week. It takes time. You're now going to do that day after day. You're going to look at a few days out, maybe even up to a full 7 days out, and write down manageable days as you go each day. At this point, you're doing just the things that feel urgent and like you need to get these done just to move forward, just to get 1 foot out of the mud and progress to the next step forward. That's your short-term process, and you just focus on that until you get a few days going, until you get into the rhythm. Once you get into the rhythm, you're going to feel better. You're going to have more space. You're going to be able to breathe again. Now, you want to design an ongoing longer-term process. And the way you do this, 3 steps again. 1, list and prioritize your goals. Now on this channel, we've talked about various types of goals and ways to categorize and create a hierarchy of them so that they flow and they connect to each other. If you're in this panic state, if you're in this overwhelm, stuck state, let go of that. You can come back to that later when you're really dialing in your performance. Now we're just getting out of the overwhelm, getting out of this state of paralysis. And we do that by 1, listing and prioritizing goals, life goals. They can be short-term or long-term, whatever you feel you need to accomplish to make a bigger progress. Like what would really get you out of this situation? If you need to find a job, if you need to start something, if you need to reestablish a relationship that you lost, whatever it is, identify the goals that are going to change the game for the state you're in. That's number 1. Number 2, you list and prioritize your habits and routines. Habits and routines are things you do regularly, just as a matter of routine. You're not scheduling them on a to-do list usually. You're just, every morning I do this, or every Tuesday I do this. It might be going to meetings with a support group. It might be meditating or getting some exercise in the morning. It might be getting to sleep on time. It might be making a call to someone in your life. It can be daily. It can be every other day. It can be twice a week. It can be once a week. It can be once a month. You define the consistency or the pattern, but define it, list it, and write these out. The habits and routines you want to develop that will help you achieve that goal. And then number 3 is list and prioritize projects that will help you get there. These are things that will have a start, stages of process in which they advance, and then a point of completion. So these are not regular things that are done at a certain cadence, at a consistent rhythm. They're something you work on steadily, and they have different steps throughout. Sometimes those steps are sequential, sometimes they're not, but you have to go through a whole bunch of steps to get there. Now, these steps are things that go onto your to-do list, onto your prioritization list. And as you plan out your days, you're just going to see when you can work them in. But you're going to have projects you're going to define that are going to be initiated and then completed to advance towards the goals you set in step 1. Step 2, you set rhythms, habits and routines, practices that will just regularly get you toward the goals. These you don't need to list out in your to-do list. You just have them chunked out on your calendar for a certain time in whatever cadence you decide. And then 3rd, you identify what projects, things to undertake, research, skill development, things you need to build, construct, or shape, or bring form to, and define those as projects. So number 1 is prioritizing the goals that are going to get you out of this sense of paralysis you're in. Number 2 is going to list and prioritize the habits and routines, the rhythms, the practices that are going to get you there. And 3 is define some projects that'll get you there. So the projects combined with the habits and routines will achieve these goals. And those are going to inform these daily lists you've already started that got you initiated already in this process. And now these are going to give you in your calendar, writing them in your calendar. And now you've aligned longer term objectives with daily actions. And that is the secret. So the system, the Pillars, Pipelines, and Vaults PPV system we've talked about earlier on this channel and in previous videos is a more elaborate and more comprehensive approach to that. But what I just laid out is a very simple pen and paper even approach to this that works. But it's done in a way that's just so simple and just gets you going. Once you feel you're progressing, you feel so much better. And then clarity comes. And then you have a better sense of what your goals should be. And as you try things, as you start habits and routines, you'll refine them. You'll say, this isn't working, I need to change it. You can change at any point. You can change your habits and routines at any point. You can change your projects at any point. You can change your goals at any point because you're learning as you go. And you'll have better inputs. Therefore, you can make better goals and objectives and better steps to get there. But day 1, dump everything on the page, start mapping out the next day, and then 1 or 2 days after that. And then just keep mapping that out. Once you have your breath back, identify the goals, the big changes that will alleviate this paralysis and this sense of overwhelm. And then connect your daily activities to those bigger goals by mapping out habits and routines and mapping out projects that will get you there. Keep it really simple while you're digging yourself out. Don't start learning elaborate new productivity software or full systems. Just start with the very basics here. The initial process and then the second longer term process. New software, elaborate systems, all that can come later. They all have a place, but the place is not here, not when you're trying to dig yourself out of this overwhelm. You need to get started. You need to establish forward momentum at any pace. Doesn't matter how slow, just progress forward. And that will change your entire perspective. It'll change how you feel about yourself. It'll change about what you feel is doable. And as you go through these simple steps, you will get more of a sense of calm and confidence. And that will then fuel your ability to execute on mapping out the days from there and identifying the longer term goals. But the key to all of this is to trust the process. This is the process. You map this out just as I've explained. This has saved me so many times. It restarts me every time I get stuck. I trust the process. You don't have to worry about what comes later. When you're mapping out those first few days, when you're in the worst point of it, when you're stuck and you don't even know how to dig yourself out, don't worry about goals at that point. You trust the process. I'm going to map out tomorrow. I just need to map out tomorrow, make it realistic, and then do that simple map for tomorrow. Then do the next day and the next day. Trust that this simple, manageable day-by-day mapping will get you there, because I promise you it will. I have been in this circumstance so many times. This digs me out every single time. So I'm sharing with you the system that has literally saved my life. And I've shared this with so many people. It has worked every single time because it's just about bringing things down to a scope that is comprehensible and manageable so that you can start forward progress. All you need is to get that forward progress started, and that will give you strength, again, to then build for bigger steps in the future. I have more videos coming that will share how I in the past and how people I've worked with have restarted their lives, have rebuilt from really low beginning points to get this sense of capability, the sense of confidence that lets us build to the greatest heights. You will be amazed at how high you can get once you get this momentum started. But it all starts with that very simple, very minimal forward progression of the first few steps. If this is of interest, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to get updates on future videos. And please hit the like button if you found this video valuable. Leave thoughts or questions below, or join us in the Notion Life Design course to explore these topics more extensively. That's at notionlifedesign.com. I also write the Life Design newsletter on increasing human capability. I give away several of my best Notion templates to anyone who subscribes to the newsletter. The newsletter link is also below in the show notes. Thanks for watching. Lots more to come.